Hey guys, it's Tyree from Wrist Unwound. If you click this video, it's because you need a little bit of help changing your watch strap, so I'm gonna help you do that. So there's two different ways you can do it. You can do it one with a spring bar tool, and if you don't have a spring bar tool, I'll also show you how to do it with some dental floss hanging around the house. So let's switch cameras and let's get into it. So right here we have three different watches, but before you change your watch strap out, a couple things that you need to make sure you have. So if possible, obviously you wanna have that spring bar tool. Typically they'll have like a pointed end here, and then they'll also have a more of a fork shaped end, as you can kind of see there. The other thing I recommend having as well is just having a cloth, so you just make sure you can sit your watch down on something like that, or having one of these bad boys so you can put your watch down. That way you just don't scratch it during the process. Now, the next thing you also want to make sure is you have the strap that you're going to switch it into. And so when you're getting ready to make a strap, there's three different ways that you can figure out if you have the right strap. Way number one is just to Google it. Many websites, especially with modern watches, you'll be able to Google to see what is the lug width of your strap. Typically they will come in either 18, 20, or 22. They're typically even numbers, but every now and then with more niche pieces or vintage pieces, you'll get 19 millimeters. If you can't Google the watch strap, the second way to do it is to use a tool like a caliper. You'll see a tool like this, starts with 0. You'll be able to move it out, put it there, and you'll see it's about 17.7 in this instance. So generally that means it's gonna be 18. Make sure that you're also getting as close as possible to the top, as many straps will actually taper down the further you go. So say you can't use Google and you don't have a tool, the next step to do is just to lay them on top of each other and make sure they match up. So in this instance, I have a 18 millimeter strap. This is a 20 millimeter watch. And so what you can do is you can literally put these on top of each other. And as you can see, when you make it flush on one side, there's a little gap on the other. However, if I were to do this 18 millimeter strap on a watch that is actually 18 millimeters, you'll see that when I have it flush on both sides, there's no gap there. And so that's one easy way to figure out if you have the right watch strap. So in this instance, we realize, hey, we have the right watch strap. Now let's get into it. So you confirm that you do have the right size watch strap. Next thing is to swap out the straps. The first thing I always like to look at when I'm swatching out the straps is to confirm to see if I have a quick release lever on the strap. So as we look at this watch here, you'll notice that there's two little levers on the watch strap, here and here. What you will do when you have a lever like this is you'll pull it in towards the center of the watch, and that'll release the tension of the rod. When you release it, it'll come back out, and then voila. I'll do it one more time so you can see it again. And so what you're doing is you're applying pressure on this thing towards the inside on the lever. You push that in, it'll allow the watch to be removed, and voila. You've now removed the watch strap for this watch. In the instance though that you don't have these quick release levers, the next thing that you can also check is to just look at the case in general. So if you look at the case and you see these drilled lugs, what these are, they make it super easy to change out a watch strap. So typically with a spring bar tool, or if you don't have a spring bar tool, you can also use something like a safety pin. You're gonna stick it through that little hole there. And when you push it, that will also relieve the pressure of the lever and allow it to pop out. I'm gonna remove the next strap using the same method just so you can see it again from a different angle. So here we are here. We have the pointed end of this tool. I'm gonna push it into that hole, apply pressure, and that relieves it. And once again, we have now removed the strap from this watch. Now say you're in an instance where you don't have a quick release lever and you don't have drill lugs. This is another way to start removing that watch strap, and this is where the tool comes in handy. So on this tool, you'll recognize that there's the forked end as I spoke about earlier. What's gonna happen is this forked end is gonna link in into the lug, and I'll have one removed here, and it's gonna apply the pressure, similar to how the quick lever does, and pull it down. When it has that pushed down, that is what allows it to be removed from the watch. Now when you're removing the lever, you may not actually be able to see it. No problem there, just understanding to get it as close as you can to the edge of the case, apply pressure and push down. So now I'm gonna bring forth a watch that needs a strap removal that does not have either drilled lugs and does not have a quick release. So in this watch you see there's no drilled lugs and there's no quick release. So this is how we're gonna take the tool. We're gonna do the best we can to align it as close as you can to the edge of the case. Be careful during this step because this is one of the times it's easiest to actually scratch your watch. Push it in there apply pressure and bring it towards yourself, and that'll relieve the tension inside of the watch. And now this lug has been removed. Now, like I said, sometimes you're in a position where you don't actually have a spring bar tool, and that's okay. So what I would recommend you do is get some trusty dental floss. When you have the dental floss, you're gonna wanna pull probably about 9 to 10 inches of dental floss. Now, I'm just gonna let you know I wasn't a Boy Scout, so I don't know the name of this knot. But what you're gonna do first is just to fold it in half, like so. You're gonna take the halfway point, and you're gonna put it in through the watch. You're gonna push it through that little hole there. You see that I got it all the way through. Once it's all the way through, open it up and put the other 2 ends through it. Now, as you tighten this unnamed Boy Scout knot, what you want to do is make sure you get it as close as you can to the inside here, but not on the outside of the case. So to do something like this would not be helpful. You want to keep it in there, like that. It may take a little bit of movement to get it in. Now, once you get it inside, as you can tell, it's not stuck on the case, but it's in between. You're gonna pull it tight. And this is why I think it's important to have a little bit of extra string, because I like to wrap this around my finger just to get a tight pull. First, pull it tight to make sure that you know it's around the lug. And the next thing, you wanna pull it towards yourself. And there you go. You've just removed the lug without using a tool. The way that it worked was that dental floss got in the same nook that typically the forked end of the tool would have gotten into. You applied that pressure to pull it in, and then it allowed you to release the strap. So now we've removed the strap. Now what I'll do is I'll also show you how to put your strap back on using it a couple different ways. So generally speaking, the easiest way is when you have a quick release, like I spoke before. And so with that quick release, what you're gonna do is you see the hole there. On a quick release, there'll be the end with the lever and then the non-levered end. What you wanna do is put the non-levered end into the hole. Apply pressure in on the lever to make it contract. Try to line it up in there, and then you may have to wiggle around to get it to link. Once the lever goes back in, that's how you know it's good. And always give it a quick pull to confirm that it's in. Let's do that one more time just so you can see it from another angle. Like I said, you have the levered end and the non-levered end. You're gonna take the non-levered end, you're gonna apply it into the hole. You're gonna press in the lever, slide it in, kind of wiggle it a little bit until you hear that click or you see the lever move. And now pull, and the watch strap has been changed. Now say you don't have a quick release to put it on. Say you don't have a quick release. Let's go ahead and put this back into the watch. All right, so now we're gonna put the strap back on. What I'm just doing here is putting the lug back inside of the strap. And so when it's not a quick release, it doesn't technically matter which side you put in first, but the same concept's gonna apply. And so you're gonna take one end and slide it into the hole. Of note, when you're putting on a watch strap, it's always important to have the buckled end, this end here, to the 12 o'clock, and the long end down to the 6 o'clock. And so before putting this watch on, I'm gonna confirm this is the 12 o'clock, this is the 6 o'clock. And so I'll make sure to put the buckle on this side and the long end on this side. So let's go ahead and apply it. Same principles are gonna apply. You put the short end there. One of the things I like to do is kind of go a little bit higher than the strap so I can slide it in like that. That just kind of helps keep it in place. When you have a tool, you use the forked end. You get it inside of those grooves there. You push it in. And similar to the other one, you kind of slide it around until you hear that click. When you're using a non-quick release lug, these are very prone to shooting across the room. So just make sure you're careful, or make sure you're up against the wall or something so that when it shoots across the room, it doesn't hurt anyone. All right, so once again, I'm right-handed, so I'll switch this around. I'll take one end, I'll put it into one of the holes, put the strap up just a little bit to kind of help keep it in place. That gives me the opportunity to grab my tool. Now, say you don't have a tool for this final stage of putting the strap back on. You could technically use a butter knife. Would not recommend it just because the probability of it scratching your case, but that is an option you have. But really, all you need is something that is small enough to get into the groove of that lug and bring it in. So maybe if you have strong enough fingernails, that could work as well. So what I'll do in this last one, I'll try to also put it in the case just using my fingernail, just so you can see that you don't necessarily always need a tool. So right now, take my fingernail, I'm gonna apply that pressure. And there we go. One side I did with the tool and one side I did with my fingernail. And so I hope this video really helped you guys out at understanding how to change your watch strap and a couple things to consider when doing it. If it was useful, please subscribe, please comment and like and share to other watch collectors out there. And stay tuned for further comment. Subscribing is free, it helps you and it helps me. Thanks guys and have a good day. God bless, peace.